All right, I think we're live.
Jake, I want to welcome you to Game Face on Monday, and I want to say this: a lot of these Shop Smart customers and all that, because you're a dealer partner, and we appreciate it. It's one of the stores that we have a feeling that is a certified store, okay, that does the right thing by the customers, retains the customers they have. They're just not about bringing in the customer, taking their money and delivering the car, and that's it, and hope to see you next time. No, they have a great company. Jake is there with unbelievable. Jake, let me ask you a question. We've been friends a while. When you first got in the car business, how did you come into the car business? What made you get into this business?
That's great that you asked that. So one thing I make very prevalent is my faith. I'm a believer in the Lord, and I believe the Lord led me to this because it's crazy to say that, but I was driving an 18 wheeler. I was getting up at like 2:30 in the morning, and I would go get beat up by 44 tons for 14 hours a day. I'd come home dog dead tired and dirty, and I heard this sermon on the radio that said, "Why don't you give God the best of you instead of what's left of you?" In other words, wake up in the morning, hit your knees, start that connection. Well, after I started doing that, I seen my relationship changed. And then I believe the Lord was leading me saying, why don't you do this for your family? And I had to find something that could support. I I have more kids than the law should allow. I've got 8 kids total. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I had to find something that could support my family, and I didn't need some degree or some, great this or that or the other. Well, I kept getting like, almost led to go to car sales, and I walk in the door, and I hit number one right out the gate, and I found out that in car sales, just like in anything, it's one of those things where if you work it, it will work. It's funny to say, but like you see these guys that are on their phone all the time. I had a conversation with a coworker just the other day, and I was like, "Hey man, what's going on? You look like you've been down lately." He's like, "Dude, I'm not making any money. I'm not da da da," and he's sitting on the golf cart scrolling on his phone. And I'm like, "Dude, you gotta action breeds action. We create our own economy. If we don't get out there and put ourselves out there and get in front of the customers, we're not going to be in front of the customers. So then we can build the relationships and have those relationships that will pay you for a lifetime rather than a single transaction."
Wow. And Jake, the one thing that I want to tell you is keep doing your podcast, keep reaching out to the customer. You have a great podcast. You have more of an educational podcast. You're
Yes, sir.
educating the consumer how to buy a vehicle. Your brand is really nice, and some consumers might come in and see you that you're on live, and some of them might not. But the most important is the credibility that you're creating in the marketplace, as what I call as a coach to your consumers.
Oh,
That's
yes,
a
sir.
great credibility that they come and you have a great product, and your store is a great organization that believes in retention. And I mean, that's great that you're able to do that. And I'm very impressed with you for quite some time now. It's been close to like what, 5 years, I believe, that
Yep.
you got into the business. After you were a year in it, I saw you went to that group that Fran Taylor has somewhere on social media. I saw you. Somebody shared your post, and from there, I called you right away that if you ever needed anything from me or whatever it was, and we've been engaging ever since. But it's very impressive how you've gotten to this point, but more impressed is how you've built your brand, such a quality and a great reputation. And customers, you got to go out to see this gentleman, Jake. I have a Shop Smart Autos, so a lot of customers on there see
Yes,
my
sir.
podcast and all that. I have blogs all over Shop Smart Autos under my name, so people know it's me. I get a lot of customers and info at Shop Smart Autos in different markets, and usually they complain when they go to a dealership and they tell me what the dealership is doing. With your store, it's been quite some time. I've never had a bad complaint at all. Uh, and it's always been a positive approach. And I guess that has a lot to do with you, with your company, and that's why you're that good. So, talk to us a little bit about your dealership. That's very, very important.
Awesome. Yes, sir. So I have a unique ability to sell any brand that my owner has, new or pre-owned. We have 11 stores within a 75-mile radius right here on the panhandle of Florida. But like we were talking about prior to this, I've sold to people in 12 different states. So we have the capability of doing remote deals, shipping. People. We actually have. It's funny, we have a fly, stay, drive program. So you could fly in here, stay on the beautiful beach in Pensacola, in Destin, or Fort Walton, those kind of areas. Pick up your vehicle and drive it home. We can have a driver pick you up at the airport, or I can do a personal pickup myself. I've done that multiple times. I've done personal deliveries, things like that. But we have everything from, I work at a Chevy store. We have a Chevy store. We have a Chrysler. We have three Chevy stores, a couple of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Rams, Mazdas, Nissans, BMWs, you name it, and probably one of the biggest inventories for pre-owned vehicles in the Emerald Coast. I know we're our Chevy store in Pensacola is the number one used dealer in the Emerald Coast. So, a lot of times people are going for pre-owned cars these days, to try to save a little bit on the value.
And that's what one of the things that I see that you do is you just don't believe in delivering the car. You believe in selling a vehicle to them and servicing them and their whole family and their friends, which that's the beautiful thing about you. You're just been in the business like maybe 5 or 6 years, I would call it. But
Yep.
the most important thing is that's how it used to be, where we used to care about we sell somebody a car. Now let's sell the family and friends. I've been in the business a little bit. That's how it was because there was none of this marketing. There was really none of the leads. There was just
Right.
newspapers and radio and cable. So when you got a customer in, you had to nurture that customer,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
all the way
People don't
through.
understand. Yes, sir. If you
Right.
if you focus on your purpose of helping people, they don't understand that the results will work themselves out. I tell people that as a result of selling you a car, they are going to pay me money. That is how any job works. But that is a result, that is not a purpose. My purpose is to actually help you through the buying process and give you the best experience you've ever had. By doing that, my results work themselves out because I have what I call a word of mouth program. I don't even have a referral program. I have a
Right.
word of mouth program because word of mouth advertisement cannot be bought. It has to be earned. But if you feel like I've earned it, then you send somebody down here, they buy a vehicle. I'm going to give you $100 just to say thank you. So mine's a word of mouth program.
And Jake, I tell customers all the time, it you could buy a car better in any store. It doesn't matter because every store will give you whatever number you want. However, not every store has the best service department like your organization does. Not every store has great sales department. Your employee retention is pretty high up there in that store. So not every store is like that. Jake, you there? I think we lost you. Okay, we lost Jake a little bit there. He'll be back, hopefully. I think we lost you. So what I was
I
telling
can't hear
you is
you.
what I was saying is that not every store has a great service department, has long-term employees, right? Like, look at yourself. How long you been there already?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
I could hear you perfect. Yes, I could. You
I
can't
can't hear
hear
you. I
me.
don't know what's going on.
All right, maybe it's your technology or
Let me
something. I
check
don't know.
this.
It appears to me like I'm hearing myself. Could you hear me now?
Yeah, I lost the audio. I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Let me
Oh
check
man, this
something.
is terrible. Okay. Uh okay.
All right, I think I'm back. Are you there?
Yeah, could you hear me now?
All right, I got you now. Sorry, we lost audio for a minute.
Yeah, that's okay. So, Jake, what I was telling you that not every dealership, when it comes to price, it doesn't matter, right? When a
Right.
customer tells you, "Could you do better than this?" You say yes. You're putting a challenge to that customer's head with what you got. You got value of
Right.
this auto group that you work. You got different brands, but the service department is the best. Your CSI is up there. Your SSI is up there. You're doing a great job with retaining those customers also because we have the retention tool and we see what you're retaining. Not only that, what a great job you got with your owner has employees that have been there long term. So that gives you a whole different scope as to communicate that value to the customer.
Oh yeah, 100%. And anybody can sell you a car. It's like all these guys that negotiate deals now.
Right.
Anybody can do that. And you can have a car shipped in. But if you have somebody that you can count on. I had an old lady that moved down here. She retired, moved to Florida. She bought an Equinox from me, and here it is, like 7:15 in the morning. I got a phone call from her, and I answered the phone. I said, "What's going on?" She says, Jake, I've been in an accident. I just need a recommendation on where I should take the car. I'm new to the area. So I told her the place and I asked her where she was. And she said, well, I'm sitting on the side of the road waiting on a tow truck. So I showed up at that location with muffins and coffee and we waited for the tow truck in the rain. When her car was taken, I took her home to make sure she was good to go. And it's that kind of relationship that you should have with your car guy. You probably got a guy that does your lawn, you got a guy that does your plumbing, you got a guy that does
Right.
this and that. You might as well have a car guy, and that's really what we give you, that's well above and beyond what you can get at most dealerships. And the fact that you have that same relationship, you can text me. I tell my customers all the time, just text me and then I will set you up an appointment. I will have service call you, and then service takes care of it from there, and we rock and roll, man. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a triangle, where everybody involved has a win.
Yes, and your retention is really good with previous customers. You got a great retention and service. You got a great, and that's important. When I take a scope at a dealership that their retention is that good in service,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
that means the customers are happy. You're retaining a lot more than the average dealership in sales, okay, and then you have yourself there out there as a brand, which
Right.
is adds tremendous credibility when that customer walks in the door. If I'm the dealer principal with gentlemen
Yep.
like you, right? The first thing I will tell my BDC is make sure that they know that they're here to see Jake, the car guy.
Right.
Why? Because that credibility that you have has to get promoted within the dealership. Why does that have to get promoted? Because you're taking a phone call, and the customer might not be calling because of you, but they might call because they see an ad. Once they see that somebody in the dealership is on their side,
Right.
game over,
Yep.
right? Now you have a whole different perspective, and you're doing a lot of content, you're doing a lot of videos. I've been seeing what you've got there. I mean, in the next 5 weeks, I got all automotive car guys coming in like yourself. I wanted to start with you first because you're a great friend and you're doing a great job out there. The other guys are reaching out to me or whatever, but you are doing a tremendous job out there, and you're retaining your customers, and being like a dealer partner with ShopSmart. That's unbelievable that now these customers can just go and reach out to you directly. We plan on putting on the phone numbers of the dealerships right on their inventory, the ones that are partners, so they can get any traffic that just goes to them.
Oh
Because
yeah.
as you know, we're strictly a lead gen. There's no precision or there's none of that. Just strictly a lead gen, no subscription. You need 50 leads, calls. You need 100 leads, calls. You need 200 leads, calls. That's it. So now we got to put certain dealer partners on there. And
Absolutely.
as far as we're really, really happy because of how, getting the lead is a two-pronged process. It ain't about the lead. Everybody has lead today. It's about that dealership, that reputation, but it's also about us. Do we have appointment setters? And that's one thing about us, is that we have our appointment setters, period. Because if we don't have that, it doesn't matter. Everybody has leads. Who cares? The biggest thing is get me in front of the customer. If I'm a
Right.
dealership today, okay, and I have a guy like Richie Bello coming into me, listen, great that you have lead, great that you have a marketplace. What is it going to take for you to put me in front of my customers in the showroom? Because at the end of the day, my sales guys know how to take care of that.
Right.
You know, I want to
100%.
talk to people. I'm in the showroom. I want to talk to people. I don't care. I want to talk to people. Just like
Exactly.
if I do any marketing, I want to talk to people. If I spend money on ads to get dealerships, I want to talk to dealerships, because
Right.
then there's no real ROI. So, and I'm so impressed with you, Jake, because you've done, probably in the last 2.5 or 3 years, you've done such an amazing job with your brand. You've done such an amazing job with this dealership, and you've marketed yourself to where you're catching the attention of a lot of people.
Right. And I
And
always tell
we're
people,
impressed.
oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And Mr. Ritchie, I always tell people, they ask me about social media. I say, hey, look, the main goal of social media is not to go viral. A lot of these guys are looking at viral this, viral that, viral the other. I don't care about viral. What I care about is being known before I'm needed. I can get a lead, or I can get somebody to walk in the door that doesn't know me from Adam's house cat. And all I've got to do now, after having put in the work that you're talking about, hey, Richie, do me a favor. Just Google Car Guy Jake in Pensacola. See if you find any bad reviews. Don't take my word for it. Take their word for it. I mean, I'm trying to sell you a car, and you don't know me, but just Google Car Guy Jake, and you'd be surprised after people do that, how many of them come back to tell me, say, hey, look, Jake, I Googled you. I don't care how long this takes. I'm not working with anybody else. I'm not shopping at any other store. I'm just going to work with you. And that's because I live out loud. I put my and this is something that I learned when I was early on in the business. So I learned because I was 44 before I ever sold my first car. I said, "Hey, look, I had a coach. I said, "Hey, look, coach, I'm going to go get a billboard." Because that's what you do, I'm old school. I get a billboard. And he's like, "Listen, Jake, don't get a billboard. You're asking somebody to take their eyes off the phone while they're driving to look up at one place in the entire world where you're being marketed. Why don't you use the phone, and that's going to be the biggest billboard in the world? Don't be anything different than what you are, but just be you out loud, and be you consistently out loud. That's the other thing. I've never found success except on the back of consistency. And if you're not consistent, you're not going to get forward. Period. End of story. If you have these ups and downs and ridges and everything in between, you're not going to be successful.
Right. And the good thing about it is the process you have from the online to the customer, to that customer going into visit you, and that whole process, and then following up that customer
Oh
for their
yes, sir.
friends and family to come to you. So you have something really good. I'm going to say this. Years ago, I had a podcast with one of our people that we have podcasts with, maybe 6, 7 years ago. They were starting a podcast. I told them, put customers on your podcast.
Right.
Invite right now, Jake. You should invite customers on your podcast,
It's funny
right?
you say that. I've already
And
got
put
one
them right on
scheduled.
TikTok and engage with them and tell. Now you have a whole different of outreach, okay? Because when you have an interview with a customer, how was the buying experience using my store and using Jake?
Oh
How
yeah.
would you rate the buying experience? Customers love to go on, and that's what you need to do to change the people that are viewing you, because Google and all these companies all have, okay, who's watching this. They have
Mm-hmm.
something called listening tools, and now they give you that audience based on that listening tool.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, automotive is good. I watch you a lot, but it's like better if you go on like with companies like myself, Cars Guru, and all these people, so that way their audience sees you. Now
Oh
their
yeah.
audience
Absolutely.
knows who you are, right? So it's a very important thing for you to be able to do that,
Yes, sir.
because in that process of you interviewing a customer, how that process went, that's beautiful. And it's a great thing that you could do, and Google recognizes that. And right now with the Google reviews and all that, it's very important. The Federal Trade Commission said something about fake reviews. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, their fines are going to start coming in with these dealers that are buying fake reviews. I
Oh yeah.
mean, the Federal Trade Commission is on this dealer space like you have no idea. They know what anybody does. And Google knows their fake reviews too. They know, they just keep their mouth shut. But once they need the government, they got to give the government information. They will give that government information. And, the Federal Trade Commission is cracking down in the automotive
Oh,
dealership
100%.
space. So that's something you got to be careful. And that's something that adds credibility to you, the dealership, and your brand. And I'm so impressed with you that I figured let's help them more.
Man, that's awesome. I appreciate you, brother. And it's just one of those things. If you always do what's right, you'll never be wrong.
Yeah, correct. And Jake, you've really done a great job. And what I love about it is how you're for the customer.
Oh yes,
You're
sir.
just not for the dealership. You're for both. You're
Right.
for the customer. I call it you're 60% to 70% more for that customer than for the dealership. And that's a beautiful thing to watch. How you're really, really great and looking out for that customer that I'm going to send you a customer because I know that
100%.
customer is not going to get taken advantage of.
Exactly.
And that's what a customer cares about. A customer doesn't care that you make money on them. They just don't
Oh
want to
no.
be taken advantage.
Oh, exactly, exactly. I sit here and I tell my customers that become Car Guy Jake family, when we're going over the numbers and we're going over everything, hey, look, the most expensive dealerships go out of business. The most cheap, just dirt cheap places go out of business. But the people that are doing fair, reputable business, where you get a fair deal, we get a fair deal, everybody can be happy, and we continue to do business together for a lifetime. You become Car Guy Jake family for life, and everybody you send, word of mouth.
And your dealership has great consumer confidence, I've noticed too.
Oh
You
yes,
know,
sir. Mr.
based on the
Sensei's big.
time, based on the time that people stay on their website. I've watched a lot of your different websites. You have a lot of time on your website. So that tells you have a huge return on your website. So there's a lot of things that we look at, right? Analytics and data to see
Right.
the kind of brand you're with. And you're with a very good organization.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. 100%. And I don't know the exact numbers, but Mr. Sansing, the owner, he's still very, very involved, and he gives back to the community more than pretty much anybody I know in this area. So matter of fact, I'm getting together, putting some, I don't know if you've ever done or heard of a preferred purchase program directly through the dealerships, but we're doing that to give back to places in our local area.
And that's really, really important.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's key. I'm really, really impressed with what you guys got to offer. And it's a great organization from the perspective that I see everything that's going on. It's a great perspective.
Well, thank you so much, sir.
And Jake, I'm glad that you came into our podcast, and you're always welcome here. Anytime you need to come to the podcast, no problem. You're one of those guys that has the green light here.
Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you. And, you just let me know how I can help you guys as well. And, what I always tell people is strong people build other people up. They don't tear them down. Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'll be right back. 1 second.
All
We
right.
continue to show dealerships across the country how to retain their customers. But now Shop Smart Autos wants to bring the new customers right to your showroom floor. The car they want? It's sitting on your lot. And Shop Smart Autos can bring you the VIN-specific leads that take them straight to your door. These aren't just leads. They're nurtured, targeted, and matched down to the exact vehicle. You'll sell more cars faster, and your team is going to thank you for it. Shop Smart Auto's VIN-specific leads. Let SSA show them the way to your showroom floor.
Well, Jake, thanks a lot for your time, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
All right, buddy. You have a good one.